You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
The Amazing Spider-Man number 53, written by Zeb Wells, pencils by Todd Nauck and Ed McGuinness, inks by Todd Nauck and Wade Von Graubager, it was a cool name, colors by Marcelo Menez, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. Get this, Peter, he ain't got the sins anymore, but he still hears them, and Norman, he's the goblin. I'm telling you, this whole issue ends up being just an extended bunch of nonsense, though halfway through, I'll admit, I was enjoying it. I actually was having some fun with it. I thought it was, this is how crazy it was. I actually looked to see if there was a guest writer. For some reason, I thought that some of this stuff was hitting okay. Mm-hmm. And then rek-rap showed up and all hell broke loose. And I'm telling you, when he showed up, not that he did it, but when all that, I lost it.
It's all the Ed McGuinness stuff, his pages that I don't think you liked. But the Todd Nauck stuff was good.
I like Ed McGuinness, but
but just in this story.
And you have said it before, though. You said it's unfortunate, but anytime Ed McGuinness shows up, it's nonsense. Yeah. You end up getting sentient mailboxes and sandwiches and Miss Marvel, all nonsense. But they really love that rek-rap. You like rek-rap.
I do. And did he die in this? I don't
know. I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of us shrugging our shoulders tonight because, boy, there's some things in all these books that I don't know what the hell was going on. But you start out with Norman still doing this crazy, I'm going to transfer all of my wealth and companies, my whole empire.
Yeah, what's his goal there again? Is he it's
the only thing I'm thinking is that as the goblin here, he's trying to transfer him to Peter, so when he makes him the goblin again, because that's what kind of it is. Peter isn't really the goblin now. He's able to purge things, but then he's going to maybe get it back again. I think that was the play. The idea of, I'm going to transfer all this so the goblin can have the empire. I don't know, though, but he ends up where he's talking to the board of directors, right? Yeah, and they're like, hey, is everything good? Yeah, everything. We dotted the I's, everything. But, we do have to ask you, why are you doing this? This isn't anything that you should be doing and whatever. And you end up having Norman say, it is enough for you to know that very shortly I will have no more use for my empire or anyone who challenges my sanity. I'll reach out when my partner has consent and Peter, or that he's like completely goblin-esque and he's like, I can't run shit when I'm goblin. Like, everything will go down, so let's give it to Peter. But it's weird.
Well, it's interesting because they're questioning Peter, but Peter, unless it was retcon to not be around anymore, he was Parker Industries.
Yeah, Parker, he was a multimillionaire, crazy deal. Yeah, and
he was running like Apple, basically.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this was something that Tom Brevoort ended up saying this past week or so, where you can't get caught up in continuity. Continuity doesn't matter, and a lot of people lost their mind about it, but these are kind of the things where maybe we can say that's the Dan Slott verse, almost like we had with the Superior Spider-Man and stuff recently. But this whole play, though, is like this ends up being the jux of a lot of things, this transferring. I can't tell you really what's happening. It reminds me of just yet another thing like the Winkler device. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you're saying it. I see what you might mean, but I never really get a full grasp of what, and maybe, again, this is so weird that I don't even know to say, oh, it'll be a big reveal. It'll be a big surprise. I don't know, because it's just kind of stupid. I mean, it's just kind of real life transferring companies and things. And
yeah, I mean, did anybody even ask Peter, or is just planning this?
It's just a gift. He's doing that. He's selling it for $1, $1 and a handshake and a donut. But again, it's not that interesting. No. I mean, if he thinks this is the big wow thing of, oh my God, like, I could get behind destroying that crap hole York, PA. Mm-hmm. But when you do this, I'm like, I don't care. I don't really care what he's doing. It's very odd. I thought at the beginning he was doing it to then, like, somehow on the back end accuse Peter of, like, I don't know, corporate espionage. I don't know, but
get him thrown in jail somehow, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, frame him, but it doesn't seem like it. These people would know, but I don't know. These people, and also I thought, board of directors, you better start running now, because if this works out the way that Norman thinks, I think they're all dead. But you end up where you get word like, ding dong, Peter Parker has arrived. Somebody has swiped the key, and you go. And he runs down. Oh, my God. And I love how he's like, oh, Peter's here. I better get my good outfit on. And he puts on his goblin outfit and runs down to greet him. And it's not him. It's the Miss Marvel rek-rap.
Misfits.
Yeah, it is the Misfits. The walking brain. Kurt Connors with the arms that he's having problems with. I don't know. And they're there. No, it's not Peter. It is us. And then I love where he puts the goblin mask on as if nobody saw. And then he's like, oh, you pieces of crap. How did you get in here? And I said this to you before. And maybe this is something people say in the corporate world, but because it's a Spider-Man book, you don't have to say that cloning. If you're like, oh, I made copies of the swipe cards, the access cards, but instead, Miss Marvel, cloning some access cards. I don't know. It felt forced.
I know cloning is a thing in phones, but access cards, I would go with copy.
You would have
copies.
I
agree.
And I think that they're saying cloning just because that's a Spidey thing. And it just is weird. And then they're like, oh, you don't know the difficult part. This is what Norman says, me. And he goes to get him. They're like, okay. And then elsewhere, there's Peter, I love how he's there and he's trying to put back together the spear, the whole sin spear, the thing that Kraven has. This looks more technical than I thought a Kraven spear would be. And also, what are you repairing? This thing is supposed to be like I thought it was a spiritual thing that held the sins and all.
Looks
whatever.
like it's electronic.
It's electronics. That's what I didn't know. Maybe that was known and something like that, but I didn't take it as that. I took it as a totem spear and not this. And then what happens is Peter's trying to put it together. And I think Zeb Wells is trying to give us the idea that without these sins and still the goblin stuff in Peter's head trying to break out, that he'd never be able to put this together because he even says, oh, I'm acting like that. The sins. No, it's Peter. You even said already, like, he should have this done in 2 seconds. Off you go.
He's a genius. But is he actually attaching the Winkler device to it?
That's what it looks like. He's like the Winkler device, and then I'm going to upload these, and I'm going to touch you with that. He's got but again, these are the things that I think are supposed to be big that aren't that interesting. It's not that interesting to see diodes and cathodes. And
these 2 pages right here completely pulled me out of the story. I was enjoying what was going on.
At least the beginning when Norman's with the board of directors, there's a couple of little kind of funny lines and things like that. But this is like, it's boring. Why are you doing it? It's only a couple of pages, but again, it kind of pulled me out. Now, rek-rap, the page before, pulled me out as well. But this is where I guess Peter, and the weird play is I can see that he's trying to make, but it does look like the spear already has. It almost looks like like an electrical pole deal where you unscrew that cap and all the wires are in, but he's connecting it seems, to the Winkler device so that he can end up transferring, taking, whatever he's going to do. But again, I found it a bit ambiguous overall what his even plan was. But you end up with Miss Marvel fighting Green Goblin for a while. The trash talk is basically, you stink, no, you do. You know, Goblin says that, who do you think you are? Like Mr. Big Stuff. And Miss Marvel goes, underestimate it. For one thing, I'm like, who are you? Because there's no way that Marvel, the MCU, or anybody in it seems to underestimate Kamala at all. No. They are elevating her anytime she can, anytime they can. Yeah. And so
she's very much estimated.
Very estimated. And I think that at one point, maybe you could have had a wink deal of like, because she worked at Oscorp and she ended up dying, like, I'm the sins of your past, wink, and then punch. I like the motion effect.
Yeah, that's cool with her big fist. Big and fist. I liked when he's wearing the octopus legs or arms or whatever, and he goes to the brain, what am I supposed to be doing? And the brain goes, fight the Green Goblin to a standstill, Kurt Connors. And Kurt goes, fight the Green Goblin to a standstill. I just put these arms on for the first time an hour ago.
Yeah, again, though.
He's like, how am I fighting him to a standstill?
It's so weird. Yeah, and it's funny because, again, I think that my joke would have been the idea of like, so you don't think I could win? The idea, like, are you just throwing me at him and I'm just like an obstacle?
Yeah,
and
you're just die? Like you sacrifice.
Fodder. Yeah, and so, but with that, though, it does point out what the problem is with Zeb Wells in this issue and in the whole run. You have Peter really doing something and try to do something pretty serious. You know, what he's trying to do to Norman, if you can figure it out, and what he's doing and all that, what he's fighting through. And then rek-rap and the crew show up with Miss Marvel, and then half of it becomes a joke, but that is pretty funny. That he's just like, I just started on the job. I don't know what's going on with these things. But in the meantime, like I said, rek-rap then comes in, and I don't know that he is kicking Goblin in the face or maybe tickling with his toes. It looks like a weird...
Or sitting on him?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It looks like weird. There's not really the motion of an attack in the way that you see it. Yeah, he is. He's also, I think he thinks he's like, Quentin Tarantino. He's a footman.
He wanted to make out with the Green Goblin in one of these scenes.
Oh, yeah. He's about to give him a big smooch. And then Green Goblin,
what does he look like? He says, should I take off my mask and make out with you? But, like, what does he look like underneath that mask? Have we seen that?
Oh, rek-rap? I'm assuming that he's a monstrosity. I don't think we have.
I thought that was his skin.
Yeah, I thought so, too. But I think that he would take off his mask and Deadpool would be happy somebody looks worse than him. It has to be just awful, awful deal. Looks like Rocky Dennis from the freaking mask itself. Yeah. That's what I think. Cher comes out and all that. You end up then Goblin tries to do the classic move that kills all the Spideys and all the Harrys and shooting the glider at rek-rap. And then he goes, cool. And I'm like, come on.
I guess his chest is so big that it wouldn't even hit his heart or whatever.
Right? Yeah. He's just a big dude. It goes in him, and I don't know. I always thought of him as just really muscular, but also like a glob type thing. But so when that's going on, the Sinister Six, they're just chumps. They're just laying on the ground. A lot of this stuff is from last issue and things like that is a bad transition into this. It looks like the Vulture is taking an old man nap. Mm-hmm. Like, if you look at him, it looks like he's yawning while he's sleeping, and you end up having, as you do, narration with Kraven. He should be maybe looking for a new vest, but he's there, and he's like honored, all the stuff that he does to then go and kind of sniff things out and run off to see where this fight is and what's going on with Peter. And then you just, again, at the point where rek-rap shows up, I made the joke that it was kind of rek-rap. It's not. It's that the story in that, it's just the same. It's just recycling a fight. Rek-rap fights, then Miss Marvel's back, and then Kirk goes, and then the Living Brain blows his top, and he ends up saying even wrong, I carry with me a precious gem, my most prized possession, the key to your defeat. Watch this. His head blows off, and I think that's supposed to be a joke. Because nothing happens. And I don't know why I'm laughing, because it's so ridiculous. I'm not laughing because I think it's
like it would just be crazy if that was actually the end of the Walking Brain. Like
he's done. His head blows off the deal and he just falls
into like a pit or something.
Yeah. So then you go back to Kamala. Now she has the arms on. And now she's going to attack Goblin with the arms, but she knows how to use them because, again...
She's a tech genius.
Again, she's everything genius, and she's not. So you end up where she's like, boom, 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 and does the full-out attack on the Goblin, and then punches him. And then the Goblin gets up and says, I'm cool. You have barely hurt me. Peter shows up with the spear. You end up Goblin's all out of sorts. Oh, good boy, you brought my spear. Oh, man, let's fight. Peter hits him with it, and then they run off and jump down in this big pit as well.
Yeah, that's where the Living Brain's head or Walking Brain head went.
Yeah, it went down, and it's like the garbage compactor. They're going to be in there, and Princess Leia's going to talk sass, and she should shut her mouth. They saved her. She better stop it. But even then, Kamala, because this grate, it's open, they go down. Again, very much like even Empire Strikes Back, when Luke and Vader are fighting, where you had all those tubes and pits and stuff like that. But they go down, it closes. Kamala's like, hey, let's open the door. Suddenly, behind them is J. Jonah Jameson and Doug. Doug from
Everybody
issue
loves Doug.
880. You remember Doug, right?
Not at all.
Do it, Doug. You end up there where then it's Kraven saying, pretty much let the boy watch. I even had the thing because he's like, no,
let the boy watch.
That remains closed. The spider and the goblin must go into the darkness together, and only one will return. I'm like, you got a screwed up eye now, Kraven. Holy moly.
Yeah, he's all scratched up.
And so everything is like a combo of trying to be serious, but because it's wrapped in this nonsense stuff, you can't take it seriously. Half the stuff you don't even know what's going on. Then they go and you have Goblin and Peter down below that looks like the land of the lost somehow in this cavern. And you have Peter say, you thought I was going to destroy the spear. Now, you realize that, Peter, when you showed up, the goblin said, you brought my spear. Good job, my boy.
Yeah, good boy. Yeah.
And now he says, you thought I was going to destroy the spear. No, I don't think he did. And he says, that was your plan, to use me as your pawn. You didn't think I'd get my mind back and use it on you. And then the goblin says, actually, my dear boy, that was my plan. And I'm telling you, this is like the beginning of the cliffhanger. And I hate the way that the spear, it doesn't stab you. What they do is they caress you with the spear. It almost looks like they rub it against your chest lightly for it to activate.
But it's just touching your shirt, too. It's not even touching your skin.
At the one point, we had it the last time with Peter, and I'm like, oh, my God, this will end. I don't think they're going to impale him. But I want to draw blood, that's the conduit through the gem and to do this and all that. But the big play here is if we end up, now remember, the Winkler device was connected to this, so I think that's the backdoor way out but then Goblin would have seen that. But also what happens is a big explosion comes. It looks like a vampire goblin, and then he gets sucked into Peter's chest, and then Goblin says, it was you, Peter. The sins want you. And I'm like, is he Goblin again?
Yeah, it looks like based on the next cover. I mean,
we had this whole story 6 months ago. Then we come back. Nobody wants it. We get it. You barely have any consequences. You don't have any stakes. We talked about it, that the way he turned back out of being was nothing at all. Now he has it back again? What are we playing? Hot potato?
Yeah, like even when Craven goes, well, 2 are going in and only 1 return. I'm thinking to myself, I want them both to return. I want both these characters separate and doing things.
Yeah, and if people people like the Goblin. I actually like what Norman was doing a bit, but just do it.
He looks cool. He's doing cool Goblin stuff as Norman, not Spider-Man.
Yeah, and then there you go, Spider-Man.
What a weird cliffhanger, too.
Then we have the cover, and if the covers, sometimes they're deceiving, but it's just right back to him being Goblin.
Yeah, when we thought we were out of it, we're right back in.
Now, we actually complained because you got out of it with no sort of, I don't know, grandness or whatever. And
that's why, because it wasn't done. That's why.
Yeah.
We thought we were done, but we weren't.
I'm telling you, that sucked us back in. But what would you give this?
I mean, I did enjoy parts of it. Some of the stuff made me laugh.
At the beginning.
I'll just give it a 7. I mean,
you are generous.
That's low for me. I mean, for a Spider-Man book, it's still bad.
I'm going 5.5. Yeah. And it's again, the back end was so bad and just shit happening. And when you end up bringing Spider-Goblin back when we thought we were out, but not, because he was still hearing him in his head when he was working on the spear. And then, you have stupid Craven and all that. Now, a blowing up, living, walking brain. I don't even know. That was supposed to be goofy. And Doug. I mean, maybe Doug puts it down to a 5. He's not Paul, but he's Doug.
Well, I get bonus points from you from rek-rap. I go up, you go down, so.
Yeah, when you're reading something in rek-rap, I know that you think, oh, Jim's going to freaking hate this.